good afternoon. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing very well. Thank you. How about you?
I'm doing good too. Thank you, Nandini, for asking. And thanks a lot for taking out time on a Sunday afternoon and agreeing to share your relevant experiences with other MBA aspirants who would be looking at this testimonial. So,
No problem.
Nandini, why don't we start with a quick introduction of yourself?
Sure. So I have done BCom Honors from Delhi University, Delhi College of Arts and Commerce. And I then worked with EY for 1 year. I converted PPO into a full-time offer. I was with EY in audit for 1 year, and then I switched to Deloitte and I was in Deloitte for 2.5 years. I started my MBA journey about, I think, 2 years ago. So 1 year I was prepping for GMAT, and after I took GMAT, then I got in touch with Rajiv sir from LilacBuds, and then I applied to various schools in round one and round two.
Okay, great. So, Nandini, you mentioned that you applied to, your strategy was applying to a couple of schools in round one and a couple of schools in round two, right?
Yeah.
So could you let the viewers know specifics with regards to what these schools were and why did you end up applying in parts?
About the schools that I applied to 4 schools in round one and 4 schools in round two. Once I got my offer letter in round one, I changed my colleges in round two because I applied to better schools. So in round one, I applied to All-in Business School, that's WashU. Boston University, Zicklin, that is City University of New York, and Rochester University, Simon Business School. And I got waitlisted at All-in Business School and Boston University. Zicklin sent me a interview invite, but I had already gotten into University of Rochester, so I chose not to give Zicklin's interview. University of Rochester gave me 55% scholarship in round one. And then because I already got into Rochester in round one, I changed my schools in round two that I was planning to apply to. So I applied to schools better than Rochester in round two, that were Cornell University, UCLA, and Georgetown, McDonough, and another one was Tepper. So in round two, Tepper waitlisted me, and I got rejected by Cornell and UCLA. They were already very ambitious schools, so I was not expecting much already. And I got into Georgetown, that's McDonough Business School. That was about it. And why I decided to apply separately was because, like in round one and round two, because I thought of applying to safer schools in round one, and then on the basis of what the results are in round one, I thought that I'll apply to schools in round two accordingly.
Great. And you mentioned that in round one, you received 55% scholarship from Simon Rochester, right?
Yeah.
Which, from general perspective, is a pretty heavy scholarship.
Yeah, of course, yes.
What do you think? What went right for you at Rochester, and you ended up getting not only an admit but a heavy scholarship too?
Yeah. So firstly, I think it's about the essays. Rajiv sir helped me a lot with the essays. I would send him my first draft, and then he would send back to me those essays with a lot of improvement. There would be multiple edits in those essays. So I think firstly essays are something that helped me a lot to get into Simon along with the scholarship. Secondly, of course, it's the score. It's also the choice of school I applied to. I could have applied to lower ranking schools than Rochester, and I still might have not gotten into. So it's right. So it's important to apply to the right kinds of schools. If I would have applied to maybe some schools on the West Coast that are very tech heavy, I might have not gotten into those schools, even if they rank lower than Rochester. So choosing the right school is very important, and then writing the right kind of essays. Your essays should be sort of compatible with the school's values. So my Rochester essays were very compatible with Rochester's values. So I think that helped me a lot.
Great. And yeah, you mentioned a very important point, Nandini, that as a student, as an aspirant, it's very important for you to understand what your goals are, and
Mm-hmm.
those kind of goals, what is the best fit program, right? Because
Yeah,
many students, and we on a regular basis receive inquiries wherein students are looking to directly apply to Harvard, but they need to
yeah,
realize that yes, these are top programs, but they might not be the best fit for everyone. So a
yeah,
very
yeah,
important point you mentioned here, that it's important to know our strengths, our weaknesses, our goals, career aspirations, and then pick up a program. Great
yeah.
point there. So, Nandini, now moving on, I'm sure that when you were deciding to select an admission consultant for you, right,
Mhm.
you would have you would have given it a good thought for sure. And
Yeah.
you would have certain parameters in mind which you would be looking for, right? So, what made you finally enroll with LilacBuds?
So firstly, I got to know of LilacBuds through a friend of mine who went to, I think, SDA Balcony. And she was also working with Rajiv sir. So she gave me a very good feedback, and that's how I got to know about Rajiv sir. And prior to enrolling with Rajiv sir, I was already working with another counselor. That was like a very commercial counselor, and he was also charging way less, so I enrolled with him for the time being. And I had a very bad experience with the other counselor, so I thought of exploring some other options, and that's when I got in touch with Rajiv sir. Another thing was that before I got in touch with Rajiv sir, there was another friend of mine who had called up Rajiv sir to inquire something, and she wanted to also do MBA from US, but without GMAT. And Rajiv sir's response was that, if you want to do MBA from US, take GMAT and like go to US for an MBA only with a good GMAT score and not without that. So that was the point when I realized that, okay, he is the right counselor, because I had been to three more counselors, and those were very reputed counselors in South Delhi, and all of them just told me that GMAT doesn't play that much of an important role. If you're not applying to top 20 schools, whether you get into a school ranked 30 or 50, it doesn't matter. So just apply with whatever score you have, whatever GMAT score you have, apply, and it wouldn't make much of a difference. So I knew that those counselors were not right there. And I could see the difference of opinion among in Rajiv sir and other counselors. So that's what also made me choose LilacBuds over other counselors. Another thing was, like I mentioned, that I was already working with another counselor. I noted that the kind of essays they would write were very the language sounded very mechanical. It made it sound like those essays were straight from some AI tool. Anyone who would read those essays would be able to tell that this is not written by a human. These are all AI essays. So with Rajiv sir, I never faced that issue. His essays were very personalized. It looked like those essays are written for me, for that particular school, and not randomly for someone. So yeah, that is a few differences that I noticed between Rajiv sir and other counselors.
Okay, great. And since you've been talking about Mr. Rajiv, who happens to be one of our very senior MBA expert,
Mhm.
uh, could you get into some more details about your close experience of working with him throughout your journey?
Yeah. So firstly, I noticed that he is very reachable. I would always text him, and sometimes I would even hesitate to text him a lot. But then he was very welcoming, and he would always clear my doubts very patiently. In fact, I would text him, but he would instead call me to explain everything in detail. I personally had a wonderful time working with him. Also, it was very seamless, and it was very organized. the entire process. The LilacBuds portal was very helpful. I remember in round one, I was getting very paranoid with the recorded questions, but Lilac portal made it very convenient. He would assign me questions for various schools, and then I would practice a lot. He also watched a couple of videos that I had recorded and sent to him, and then
Yeah.
he sent me personalized feedback. So that was very helpful. I remember there was one time when I asked him to take a mock interview on a very short notice. I think
Yeah.
within 24 hours, and he was not available. So he asked another colleague of his to take my interview. So he has always been very accommodating.
Yeah.
There were other times also when I asked him to take my interviews, mock interviews on a short notice, and he was there to help. So yeah, overall, I had a wonderful experience working with him.
Great. I mean, really happy that you found our mentor's insights, suggestions, and his way of working aligned with your expectations, and you ended up getting into good programs. So, finally, Nandini, it's a long, arduous journey, right? An MBA application journey. And through this journey, you would have your own share of highs and lows, and you would have a lot of learnings as well, right? So from your journey, what do you think are important nuggets of wisdom which you have gained and you would like to pass on to your viewers who would be watching this testimonial?
Firstly, I would say that start early. Start early so that you can do a lot of research about the school. Talk to a lot of students who are currently enrolled in that program. And just start writing your essays early. That helps a lot. Also, make sure that the essay that you write should be very personalized. It shouldn't be like that essay can be used for other schools also. So it should be very personalized. Other thing I would say that choose the schools very carefully. Look at what your profile is, and then what kind of profiles does that school accept, and then what kinds of roles does that school get. Make sure that your goals are somewhat clear. If you have not decided on the role that you want to get into, then maybe at least the industry, because you want to make sure that you apply to the right kinds of school.
Yeah.
And then about the interview, I would say that be very calm during the interview. Make it very, very conversational. It shouldn't look like an interview. It should be more like like a conversation. So yeah, that's what I would
Okay.
advise to the
Okay,
as.
great. And I'm sure very relevant points. A lot for taking out time on a weekend, and all the best for your MBA journey from here on. Thank you.
Thank you for helping me.